Hey folks, welcome back and or to the channel. Get the CB mic out of the way. Let me know if you can see me okay. I was trying to see if I can share some pics on here, and I may still try. Um, so yeah, wow. I'm watching Super Ego about clipping a truck right now. I'm at the Loves in Zanesville, Ohio. I am nearly a full state away from where I should have been tonight. So one thing led to another, and here we are. So as I mentioned last week, I was in the hotel. I had the day cab they brought to me because I do have the Cascadia back. It went into D rate when I woke up a week and a half ago on a Wednesday morning, and it was limited to 1,000 RPMs and 5 miles an hour. So they record out a day cab. It ended up being a city day cab from Bristol, Tennessee, and it had a single fuel tank of 100 gallons. So I was fueling up to twice a day, but at least once every day I was having to fuel up. So I got the call last week, Tuesday, Wednesday. I got the call on Wednesday, was it, Laura? And so I broke off from the route. Yeah, nope, Tuesday. I'm sorry, midday Tuesday. They said the truck was done and PM and new steer tires. So I broke off my route and drove 2.5 hours down to Bristol, Tennessee. Broke off the route, went down there, got the truck, turned in a day cab. The guy didn't realize at the fuel island when I pulled in, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna need to pull my truck out and put them side by side out in the yard so I can toss stuff in." He didn't, it's just like, oh, probably had a couple bags or something. He got up to get the mileage off the truck to top it off. He goes, "Holy shit, you got a lot of stuff in there." Because I didn't know how long they were going to have the truck. I've had the truck tied up in the shop up to 5 weeks, so therefore I wanted to have everything I needed out here just in case. But luckily, I only had to have that truck for about 5 working days, and I got this back. So I got it back, and she's running good. They said the air cleaner was plugged up, probably from getting wet from the rain and snow. Uh, the fuel water separator was from 2023, so they changed that, PM'd it, greased it. Got new steer tires. It's running like a champ. Um, that was Thursday morning I picked that up. No, Wednesday. So it was Wednesday morning, so I got the call Tuesday. Wednesday morning I picked it up. Thursday afternoon I got back. 2 days at the house. Left yesterday. I got 18 stops on this route right now, covering Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, and Kentucky. So I only got 1, 2, 3. What did I get? 1, 2, 3. I got 4 stops done today. I should have had all my Ohio stops done. So I had Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, and Kentucky. So 4 states. I got the Lancaster and Ohio here, south of Columbus, Ohio. I had 3 stops in and around Columbus, Ohio. Trust me, I don't care for any of the big cities in this country, and makes you be thankful to be up in the mountains of West Virginia and out in Virginia. So, got there, went to roll the lift gate out. It went out and up to the floor to put product. Well, one of the products was 450 pounds. The other one was 200. Lift gate wouldn't go down to match up to the floor of the customer had to meet me there at a parking lot like Tractor Supply there in Zanesville. So that said, we had to lower a 450-pound product down to the ground, then into his truck, and then that 200-pound one. So two old guys got a good workout because that lift gate was right up to my chin level when you stood up to it. So, and the 450-pound product was about 6.5 foot tall, along with being heavy. So then I sat there. He tried to help me out. I messed around with the power wires to the toggle switch, the power, the block that runs the lift gate, all the controls on it. Well, somewhere along the line, they're all shrink wrapped. Looks like it had been repaired before, so I couldn't tell. And it was absolutely cold as sin. It was biting into me with the wind and the cold because it was like 20 degrees. Wind was blowing. Add more to it. So if it was summertime, I told the boss I would have dove in and done surgery on it, but I didn't have a test light, I didn't have any connectors, and I didn't have any of the shrink wrap to put around the wire to seal it. So, and I was at Tractor Supply. I could have went in and got all that, but it's a Ryder trailer. So I just contacted Ryder's customer service, let them know I had two Ryder shops. One in Obetz, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus, and then the Zanesville shop. I figured they were going to send the Zanesville because they were closer, but they did not. Obetz came down, so I spent 5 hours right on the money downtime today with the lift gate stuck in the air. He came out, pulled the wire harness for the power switch off. Someone had gone in there and doctored it up. But when he pulled the shrink off from wherever someone had repaired it before, it was a green mushroom in there. It was all corroded up. The wires had severed. So I was wondering why when I could wiggle it, and all that, it was definitely wanting to flicker because the lights would illuminate on the block. But then if I let go of the wire and go to run it, no dice. So got that running, kicked another customer off. My other customer here in Ohio, they were like, nope, we're not taking it right up to the time they close. And that's the problem with my routes is you got to know your customer on how early. Some of them will come in. I've got like one over by Hagerstown, Maryland. He'll unload me at 4:30 in the morning, between 4:30 and 5. Then I got customers that won't open and unload till 10 a.m. So they all vary on receiving time in the mornings when they open and in the evening. Some close at 4. I've got one in Kentucky. What do they close at? 4:30? And if you're not there, tomorrow morning. Then I've got some, most of them, the standard is 5. I've got some that'll do 6, 7 o'clock at night. Or they'll just say, hey, I just live around the corner. Call me. I'll come down to the receiving area and get you unloaded. This guy's like, nope, see you in the morning at 8:30. So I'll get them unloaded, and then I'll get down to West Virginia and Virginia and go from there. But, so yeah, I spent, what has it been? 2 weeks, and I've had enough downtime. I've had 6.5 hours with this on top of the hour of picking it up, switching it over. 5 hours today, so 6, 11, about 11 and a half, almost 12, about 12 hours, say, of downtime in the last 2 weeks. And everything that has been downtime has been IT. Because the lift gate it has to go in and out from under the trailer, then go up and down. Why do we got to have a control panel that looks like a tablet? The after treatment system, the DEF system on this went down. Needed a new wire harness and all that jazz. Everything is IT. That stuff is unreliable. We should know by now. They try to sell everything to us as convenience, but that convenience comes with a price, unreliability, and throwaway. It's just like appliances and these new cars, and that's one of the things I had been hearing this weekend. But even like household appliances, many of the customers, people I know in the industry have their recycling side, their waste side has quadrupled in the last 2 decades because you buy a washer and dryer, you buy a refrigerator, it's pretty much when it's dead, you throw it away and you buy another one. And that's what people's mindset is. Nobody wants to fix anything anymore. And things were meant in the back in the day meant to be repaired and refurbished to continue going. And we're not in that society anymore. We're in a wasteful society of just dumb down and laziness. Um, that said, cars. Um, I listened to a gentleman talking about how vehicles going forward are going to. How did he direct that? The manufacturers. It was from Uncle Tony's garage, and he said it was the video call forever car, and that was basically people are going after the 60s, 70s, and 80s vehicles because there's no computers and IT and all that jazz on there. And plus, you know, the tracking systems on it with your Blonde Star on the GM junk and all that stuff. Um, but he was saying like the new cars, they, for example, a, one of one of his pals had a friend that he was driving home in the winter and saw his buddy's car, but he wasn't in it. Went up the road a few miles. There's his buddy walking home in the snow, cold at night in the dark. Um, what had happened with the car is it was linked with his phone. The manufacturer sent updates, 3 updates for his car. Is to go through his phone and the phone to communicate to the car and give the software updates. It did 2 out of the 3. Since the third one didn't go, they said up, failed to receive, and it shut the car down. It just manufacturers like the software without the update just automatically shut the car down right then and there, leaving them stranded. And then so the question left to be seen is what happens if that was a single, a mom and kids, a family with young kids in the car stranded out there. And that's where the manufacturers are going. That they're making it like John Deere's done to their farm equipment, to the right to work on. There's no right to work on it. They want you to bring it back to the manufacturer and basically stranglehold you with a high fee of repair and maintenance, and or get rid of the car and buy a new one to keep you in that loop and that cycle of just constantly being under a car payment. And that's not what people want anymore. It's not what I'm going after. In listening to that and discussing that with my wife, I said that 2019 Toyota Highlander, the last 3, that vehicle, my Ram, and the Ford Fusion I drive daily, those 3 vehicles, we knew what we wanted and we went after it. She wanted a red car. She liked my first Fusion I had, but it had a 4-cylinder. I said, I don't want another 4-cylinder. Let's get the big boy. Let's get the big V6. Let's get all the bells and whistles. So we got the sport package minus the all-wheel drive because it's just useless on a car to have all-wheel drive. We got that. We got a song and dance on that. I mean, an 18,000-mile car for $16,000 that was 1 year old. The Ram, we paid just over $13,000 for that with 20,000 miles on it. The Highlander, they took $7,000 off it just for the fact that we flew from Michigan to Texas to get a front wheel drive Toyota Highlander with every bell and whistle minus the all wheel drive. So we just have lined ourselves up to vehicles we want, and we'll go after them. We drove 5.5 hours. We drove from Midland, Michigan to Indianapolis to get the Fusion back in 2013. It's 13 or 14 when we got it. And then we flew to Austin, Texas for the Highlander. The power of the internet. Used it, shopped around, found the vehicle we want. We bargained on that. My wife battled with the dealer. The dealership was getting us a good rate. Our credit union went back and said, we'll beat it. And they went back and forth like 3 or 4 times. They actually had a board meeting or a conference call to even go lower. They were going to make sure they had the loan on that car over the dealership doing it. And we had a hell of an interest rate, good deal on the loan. So we ended up walking out with what it is with all our vehicles, like what was it, 18, 20,000 miles on that car, and we paid $31,000 for it. That was 1 year old. So these vehicles, as he was saying, are being, where the manufacturing go in, just like a Tesla, they can turn it from the manufacturer, they can turn them on, turn them off. They can track them if they got to repo them. If you're, it's all that stuff where they have more control of the car. So what people are doing now is they're going to see the price of these muscle cars that have gotten shot up like 5-8 years ago with all the 60s and early 70s muscle cars are, you're going to see that drop off because there's not going to be a market for that for people collecting. People are going after older cars, say a Dodge Dart, say a 71 Dodge Dart with a 318 and 2-barrel, like this is a standard, which was back then a daily driver. People are going after older cars, even the he was even saying like minivans, the early 80s minivans, in the first gen when they came out, anything that can transport family and or be a good commuter car to work, grocery shopping, and what have you. They want to go back to a classic car that people can fix, work on, and maintain without having all the sophistication of tools, computer, laptop, and software to talk to the vehicle and stuff like that. So that's going to be, and just watch, but it's going to be the new trend coming forward and beyond. And that's what I told the wife. I said, that 19 is the last new vehicle that we're going to own. I will go back and own something from the 70s, whether it's a Blazer Bronco, Ram Charger, or a pickup. But I said, 2-wheel drive pickup. But I said, I will own something that, carbureted, distributor, 3-speed automatic. And everyone's like, well, don't you want something reliable? I don't need all the computers. I don't need 8 cup holders. I don't need the torque rating to pull the fucking Empire State Building across the damn country. It's freaking ridiculous. Like, everyone's like, I need higher torque numbers because I want to pull a 50-foot fifth wheel. Come on. It's just the most ridiculous stuff that I've been seeing people doing, and it's just, they want. Look, if you got to pull a 42, 45, 47-foot fifth wheel, get a medium duty truck. Be realistic. Outside of that, I just need a truck to go down, maybe haul some lumber home, maybe throw some bicycles in, or maybe I want to pull a 22, 24-foot travel trailer. Big block, gas engine will be just fine. Well, the fuel mileage, look, if you got to question fuel mileage when you're out recreationally, like towing your camper, pulling a trailer with your side-by-sides, if you're penny pinching on that, you can't afford it. Stay out of it. And, well, I got to go across country, say from Midwest, East Coast to Moab to go to a competition. All right, so now you're racing. You're going to the mountains, the Rockies, King of the Hammer, something like that. Get some fucking sponsors and get yourself a semi or a medium-duty truck But if you think you need, 20 miles of the gallon to pull, a 40-foot gooseneck to pull toys across the country, get a better truck. Um, but yeah, that's the thing. Just want something simplified, easy, and I can just bebop around in, and I don't have to have all the IT stuff in the mercy of the manufacturer dealerships to rape me of repairs and or diagnostics. So, if anything, this liftgate and this truck has taught me last week and a half is stick to my guns and march forward, doing all that stuff and keeping that mindset. Simple life. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't complicate your life by overthinking things and trying to add more stuff that you really don't need. So that's just where I've been. Driving wise, weather was kind of shitty yesterday. We had great weather Friday. Was it Thursday when I got home? Thursday afternoon, evening. It was sunny. Grass was green. All the snowbanks are gone. Now the snow's back. And the cold is there. And when I left yesterday, because I only had to go outside of Columbus, spend the night to get to my first stop. So I left like 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday on Sunday. But I told the wife, I said, man, I am over the cold and the snow. I got family members. Oh, I love it in this Midwest. I love the cold. I love the snow. You can fucking have it. Not gonna, you know, I don't need to grow old in it. And I can, when you get older, you just start saying, where's the novelty from Halloween to Easter, sitting in dark, cloudy, overcast, cold, snow, ice, salt. It's like, no. And the wife and I said, yeah, if we had to be 85 years old and hunker down at home through the winters, there will be a double homicide going on. We we will drive each other bananas. We are outside people. We want to be outdoors, traveling and doing our stuff. So there's going to be great adventures coming from her and I. And if you're the early subscribers and you're seeing, you've been putting up with me out here on the road, and I know there's not a lot to talk about. It's pretty uneventful out here. Um, in my outlaw days, I never stopped. Like, I got the timer. They call the ELDs, electronic logs. I call them a countdown timer. That's all it is. And you just got to take pauses throughout the day. Your 30-minute break. No more than 8 hours of driving. Then you got to take an 8-hour break. Blah blah blah. Can't drive more than 11 hours a day, and you can't work more than 14 hours total. And blah blah blah. The fucking government, they can blow off. Take their damn logs and their ELDs and shove them up their ass. But no, back in the 90s, I think I started my log when I leave the driveway. I just kind of say, oh, well, this is Sunday here, and I'll finish filling it out when I get back in a week. So, and I would just guess where I was and this and that and that and this. And, you just ran, but there wasn't the accidents. There wasn't all the notoriety of your trucks flipping over. They're not, these damn things are, I could stand on the bottom bunk and I still can't touch the ceiling. It's got to have a fucking ladder just to get up to the top bunk. And even when you sit up there, you still got another foot of room above you. But yeah, and these things are fiberglass and some parts are aluminum, but for the most part, these things, they're just trying to make them lighter and lighter and lighter. The engines, the drivetrain, the cabs, shorter wheelbase. And that wasn't the case when I started. Everything was just steel and real and heavy and so on and so forth. But I never, in my day driving, through the 80s, 90s, and up to 2001, I never had a problem where wind was a factor. The only thing that ever was a factor was snow and ice, but that's it. But to hear of these trucks just tipping over all the time is it's just unreal. But I definitely get why when I see a lot of Kenworth and Peterbilt hooded trucks, with the low flat tops, it's like, man, why do you want all that extra air drag? This is nice, but if I was there's a guy, he's parked right over there at the ass end of his trailer. He's got he's got the chassis and cab. He doesn't have the arm on it for an excavator. God, what is that thing? It's like a 349 or something like that. He went by here, but he's got the hitch hooked to the hitch on the RGN, and then the back of the RGN is got another, and I forget what they call that, on the pivot on the back. But he's got rear steer on the back, then his 3/4 axles there, then the 2-axle dolly hooked, the RGN hooked to the 2-axle dolly up there, and then that's hooked to his triaxle truck, big Peterbilt, like a 379, 20,000 pound axle. He came in, everyone on the CB is like, good God, that thing looks heavy. And you could hear it creaking as he was turning around here, and he's got it kind of facing going out. But maybe, yeah, I don't want to run the flash on things because, let's see, just checking the chat here. I don't want to make a big scene about taking a picture. If he's here in the morning, when I leave, I'll try to take a picture of it, put it on the community post there. But driving was more fun. You didn't have every DOT and everybody up your orifice driving, unless you're doing something really stupid and gross negligence, but they just weren't up your ass anymore. But the DOT did in the 80s and 90s, they did run CVs. So they'd reach out and say, driver, pull it over up there. So you could talk to them. And I remember if you did get pulled over, they'd come up with their pad out and they'd say, well, driver, what do you need fixed on your truck? So if you didn't have working AC, he'd write it up. And like, the boss is too cheap, he won't fix the AC. Well, we'll write it up, mandate it. So anyhow, yeah, he those were the days. Those were the days. But what else? And sit down and ate. When I went somewhere, I remember, if any of you have passed through, if you're a driver in America and you're passing through Porter, Indiana, or Burns Harbor, the pilots at Burns Harbor, Porter, and then on the other side of the highway is Porter, which is the TA truck stop. That used to be, what was that? The Travel Plaza. It wasn't a TA. Porter Travel Plaza. That was our relay drop station for our trailers, coming from east to west, and because our company was based out of Milwaukee. Portage, it wasn't Portage, but the Porter Travel Stop. And man, we used to get there, drop and hook, and sit down, have a meal, have some beers, get in the truck, take off and drive. Now everything is, you can't do that and you can't do this. You can't smoke. You can't drink. You can't. I've not seen a generation that has got so many freaking negative words, but yet, oh, look at me on TikTok. Look at all the Amazon packages my wife's bought. If my wife bought packages on like these broads on TikTok do, I would bounce that bitch's ass. That wife on TikTok. I look at that guy and I would look at that guy in real life and say, I'd bounce her ass out on the fucking sidewalk. Say, I can't afford you. You got to go, and off you go. And just TikTok stuff and all that shit. It's just not. Would I ever do a TikTok? I don't know. I've entertained it, but nothing right now. Probably not until after I'm out of the truck, and I may do that when we do more I want to say adventures and all that. So when our travels pick up on a personal level, I may record some stuff that we're doing and maybe share it on that platform. I got an X platform, but hell, I don't even give that. I mean, man, those people just live and breathe politics, and I'm like, go clear your head, pull your head out of the sand, and turn off politics. Man, I'll bet you would see the world in a different light. And it's just crazy to see people's comments and the audacity and negativity of their mindset, and just like, I ain't got time for this. And those are the people when they open their mouths in public. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not listening to you, and I turn and walk away. In mid conversation, I'm like, I ain't got time for you. Um, my world does not evolve around the United States government, nor do I care about the United States government to discuss it or do anything. I just maintain my lane in my ecosystem, and that's all I do. And maybe other people like to live and breathe it, but not at our table. Oh, what else is happening? Anything else new, Laura? It was pretty uneventful at home. We just kind of vegged around. Um, the last 3 days out last week, I was doing a 10-hour restart, having to get up just as my clock had hit the 10 hour, logging in, taking off, basically, after my pre-trip. But there was like, I think I had, what did I have, 3 mornings in a row? I'm watching this cat back up. These guys are trying to back up in the dark. There's people out there helping them, so yeah, don't mock me if I'm like, oh, you're not out there helping them. But this guy's setup is horrible, and he's gonna hit that Peterbilt if someone don't come out there and flag him. Um, yeah, so I was doing like 3 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and then I was really ramping hard, like 13 and a half hour days. So by the time I got in, I think I had like 2 hours left on my clock. So I maximized my clock, and I probably will this week with that 5 hour downtime today. He's too far away. So he's too far away from where his parking space is. He needs to line up and set up closer to his parking space, then pivot in. Because then when he goes to back in, the nose of his truck is hit or coming too close to the trucks uh, up across from his parking space he's trying to grab. So I don't know if he's bailing on it or he's going to try to back up. Um, I've had guys come up when I'm sitting here live streaming. I've had guys come over after I've done a lot, or got done with a live stream, and hey, dude, yeah, I see like, what am I supposed to do? Show up and shut the curtains right away? It's like, or are you leaving because you're like sitting in the driver's seat, dude? I'm just sitting here chilling. You know, my lights aren't on. I'm not going anywhere. Oh, oh. Plan better. I had a second backup. This place, I got here at 5 o'clock, and there was enough parking. I'm in a pretty good spot where I can just drive straight out of this. I'm in the back lot. If you've been to this Loves in Zanesville, I'm in the back lot, but I'm in one of those angled lots to the north of the Speed. What do they got here? Speedco shop or something? The Loves repair shop. But I got it, so I can just drive straight out. So none of these guys because over here in the Catskill, every Catskill and every truck stop, everyone stacks on the Catskills, and that happened to the Loves. Where was that? Not Ironton, but I, Ion, Iton or something like that. It's between Roanoke and Christiansburg. That new Loves they put on I-81 at exit 128, but the guys stacked up on the Catskill so bad a couple of weeks ago that one guy's like, dude, I can't even get to the Catskill way. So he had to go across the highway to the one truck stop. Oh, sorry, guys. ONE, one truck stop. So he went there and Cascadia. I followed him out. Both of us were trying to, like, dude, I got to get to Roanoke, and these people are just stacking everywhere. They just pull in, pull the air brakes, park any freaking where. That's where one of those truck stops where Loves needs to have security come out in the morning and start navigating these guys out of the way and getting them in empty parking spots. But yeah, I was hoping to be at the Petro in Glad Spring again this week, but that 5 hours kind of really threw my chi off. Everything I had in my mind where I probably will be is not going to happen. So we are going to be shooting from the hip every day and where we're going to spend the night. So, but yeah, 18 stops. I'm going to have a lot of ground. I'm going to have some miles in this week. But hopefully going from here would be nice. Now, there is a couple Peterbilts that came in. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, they're like they're 379s because they got the split windshields, and they are hauling. Both of them are hauling. They're the same company. They got them all decked out. The Farmers Oil Company Incorporated, Afton, Oklahoma, and Anthony, Kansas. So, man, whatever that company is, I'll tell you what, they got Hodge fenders on there, the T-bar in the back. I mean, they got these things just dressed and decked really, really nice. And damn, that's all I can say. So in Holland, I would imagine they're not fuel tankers. They are. Let me just take a look. Oh, they're going to be compressed gas. It says Farmers Oil Company Incorporated, but those tanks look to be of the nature of compressed gas hauling, not like your fuel tankers. So yeah, really nice trucks. And then you got to look at companies like that and say, if you got your time in and get a good record and you got a good work ethic, you slide in with something like that, because hauling that kind of material, you're going to at least stay busy and you're going to at least get a premium pay on that compared to just hauling general merchandise, general freight in a dry van. Well, let's see what we got here. I wish I could turn you guys around. You're on my laptop and I don't have a reverse camera on it, but we will make that happen in some time in the future when I can integrate a camera to this. I have a camera at home, but I got to get a wire. I got to see if I can connect that. It's a Canon, and connect that to this to use it instead of the web camera on the laptop. But some of these guys are just racing through here, which is kind of ridiculous. But I'm going to turn the truck off here. Turn the radio off. I realize that's been humming away. So, yeah, it was pretty uneventful at home. Just ran some errands Thursday, Friday morning, and groceries, and just kind of chilled out around the house. I was pretty exhausted out because I was doing a 10-hour restart, getting back up at early in the morning, and then just maximizing my hours for 3 days straight. So was happy to get home, but not in that day cab. I had a plan, or no, I'm sorry. The week before, wife could tell I was stressing out. I'm like, not only do I have to plan my fuel stop, at least get one fuel stop a day in, but I also got to plan on where to stay at for a hotel. Because I said, I got to I got to be at a hotel that accepts semi-truck parking. That's the problem of me being in, what our company's been based on is mainly day cabs and box trucks. But, you got to find a damn hotel. And I did. I stayed at a couple hotels I hadn't been at before, but what a pain in the ass. You got to bring that trolley or that hand cart out, because I had my chest refrigerator. It's got a compressor built in it. I had that on the floor of the day cab. And then, get my shower bag and my computer and all that jazz. By the time you you go in, check in, get your room, get the trolley, go out, get the stuff, go back, unload everything in your room, run the trolley down, and then in the morning, 3 in the morning, or 2:30 in the morning, you're grabbing that damn thing, hoping it don't have squeaky wheels, and then you're running up, second, third floor, wherever they shove me at. Load that thing up, run it across in a dark parking lot, unload everything back in the day cab, and then run that back in, get your receipt, jump in the truck, take off down the road. And it's too much freaking work. And everyone's like, oh, it must be nice staying in a hotel. It used to be. Um, it is a lot easier to back in a spot and do your post trip. And like today, I had a lot of salt, so I cleaned my windows after I logged off. But the guy next to me here, we got chit chatting a little bit. A driver for ATS, so he's been with them for a couple years. So he's on the fence with them, and anyhow, I would stay if I was to stay. Once we moved to Arizona, and if I was to ever drive, I would do heavy haul, but it's got to be in a Pete or a Kenworth like hooded truck. I am not doing another one of these Tupperware torpedoes again. Um, it almost looks like Sammy Lloyd's there from Makes Sense YouTube channel. Looks like it's the same color Kenworth W9 that he has, but it's not. It's ROWE, Row Machinery Incorporated. He's got a spread axle flatbed. He's got some machinery on the nose of it. Nice truck, about a 60-inch flat top sleeper. So I wouldn't mind a 72-inch Aerodyne sleeper on W9, just because the studio sleeper is nice, but I don't know. 72 would be suffice to get the job done and be out there and get some work done if you're step back in or RGN in or something like that. And there's another 379 over there with another step deck. These big G Express over here, he's like the other guy. He's trying to thread a needle with this truck, trying to get back and forth in this spot. And the two hooded trucks are just sitting here. I think they just want to get out of they're just trying to loop around and get out of here. It's just the show you watch every night. And when I ran reefer, most of the time I just stayed at the consignee's place. If they allowed it, I'd just go right there. A lot of the customer base that I have now, some I can stay at, some I cannot because there's a residential area and this and that, and there's not the adequate parking. And a lot of my customer base, their hours of operation are anywhere from 7 a.m. to 5-6 p.m. So I got to get my deliveries in that window, and then from 6 p.m. and on is that's usually drive time to get to the next town or this and that. My customer's only 20 minutes up the road for the morning, but yeah, the lift gate kind of threw the chi off on all this. But yeah, so anyhow, that's how it kind of plays out. I've done the same route, this route now. I've going on 3 years, so I know everyone's schedule, business schedule, so I know how it plays out. All of them got my number, so my usual suspects are not on this route this week. Only one person, he called me. Otherwise, the phone's been pretty quiet today. Normally, they're either calling me Friday afternoon by 5 or Saturday morning, or I get sometimes on a Sunday and or Monday morning. My phone's guaranteed to ring. Customers are like, where are you at in your route, and where am I at? Day, and they're looking at, are you going to be here in the morning or in the afternoon on a certain day, just so they can plan on people being there to help me unload and receive. And of course, then the product I bring in is usually scheduled right back out to be delivered to customers. So nice 379 here. Got some straight pipes, and he's older school because you don't have DEF on there. Probably got a caterpillar or something on there. Good times, good times. So when I did over the road back in the outlaw days, um, I ran and I got pictures of it. And if I knew how to pull pictures up on this goofy thing, I'd do it. Picture in picture layout. See, I can lower myself down, but then how do I get my picture in here? That's where I got the issue. Is how can I drop the picture in here? People, private chat, no, style media. So that's where um that's where I'm trying to uh quit fucking around with it, Rod. You guys still there? Let's cancel that. Yep. So we'll just go back because I'm not going to screw around right now. What I have to do with StreamYard is I got to buy into their subscription to open and unlock more stuff. But that way I could put in now. I had the 93 series. It was their slope trucks, the International Harvester Eagles. And they had the mid-roof sleeper, and that's what I drove with the Series 60 and a 10-speed. I had that, and I had my Ford Aero Max with an N14 with a 10-speed, and that had the 48-inch condo sleeper. And that truck was nice because a short wheelbase, I could zip in and out of towns from St. Louis and Louisville and Cincinnati and Chicago and wherever I was going, up into Montreal and Toronto. So it didn't hinder me like the bigger sleeper trucks. But times were different then than they are now. They didn't really accommodate for the 53s that came in. Now, when I started in the 80s, in 86, when I started working on trucks and pulling trailers around, the trailers, the long ones, were only 45 foot then. So it was 40 and 45 foot. When I heavy hauled with walk-in floor trailers, they were 48 and 50 foot, with anywhere from 6 to 8 axles on them. But then I went cowboy driving there in the late 90s, from like 96, 97 up to 2000, late 99, 53 foots. And that's when I got introduced to the 53 foot. So yeah, I'm just watching the W9 with the machinery guy backing in. Man, these guys look sketchy the way that everyone's got to back in. Yeah, so the 53s were a wake up call for me. And man, everyone's just like cutting everyone off out here. What other truck did I have? So not only Wabash trailers is what we ran back then. I had the Aeromax, I had the International Eagle, and I got a good year of a flat top. I believe it was a 66-inch sleeper then. Was the FLD 120 with a Series 60. That particular truck was the best riding truck I ever had. And smooth. It was so dialed in and smooth. Like compared to this thing just feels like you're just getting jarred. Like if you had a old Chevy square body with a 12-inch, arch springs, lift kit on it. It's just, this thing just will shake your dentures out. It's not as, compared to the day cab, it's smoother. Didn't realize it. I didn't really notice a difference. Like when I got in the day cab, I'm like, oh, typical Cascadia, just a day cab Cascadia. And then when I got in this, rolled down the road, and I said, oh, geez, I didn't realize how smooth this thing rode after jarring around, but the noise level on that thing, because that had the 13-liter Detroit, and I didn't realize how much more obnoxious the cab noise was in there until I got back into this with the Cummins. Cummins is much quieter, as far as sitting in here for creature comforts and all that. Just something to take in consideration. But yeah, back in the day when I didn't have air conditioning, I'd have the windows down. Except for when we got on the job sites, if it was really dusty in there, and I'd roll it up. But you didn't know what creature comforts were until late '90s when I started getting sleeper trucks. Boy, was that a microwave and little refrigerators and cabinets, and it's like, wow. You get that carrot on the stick, and you're like, well, yeah, I'll come work for you. You got cool trucks and all that, but you weren't making the money. 33 cents a mile. Boy, if I made when I got bumped to 36 cents a mile, I was like, woo, I'm making good money. But man, this is 25, 30 years ago. Or longer. No, I say longer than that. It was about 28, 30 years ago. So 96, 97, 98, 99. So now I look at it and I'm like, I wouldn't want to get paid the cents per mile just for the fact of sitting around at the shippers, the consignees, construction zones, or traffic accidents, or getting stuck out on inclement weather and all that, or like today, downtime. 2 weeks ago, downtime, had 6.5 hours downtime with this, 5 on the trailer. I got paid by the hour for the whole time because my clock was ticking, and I'm in an area where I need to be getting going and making deliveries. So if I was shutting down and it went down, then I wouldn't be getting paid. I'd be doing my 10-hour restart, calling a mechanic and saying, it's on you, come get it fixed while I'm taking my break. But this one was mid-route, and that one morning 2 weeks ago was right when I was starting my 10-hour break, and so be it. But yeah, I'll never understand. Hey, what do you guys think? I was listening to Prime on their company drivers, not on the lease purchase drivers, but the company drivers are getting their trucks turned down to 62. Prime is the suspected company that back in the day was notorious. They govern their trucks to 55 miles an hour. And I had heard that the state of Texas called Prime and said, because their speed limit then was like 75 miles an hour. And I think that was right before they turned themselves up to 80 miles an hour on the speed limit on the interstates. But 55, and I'm like, who the fuck? They're like, dude, these trucks are a hazard on our interstates in Texas. Turn your damn trucks up. Well, their company trucks were set at 65. Well, we got fuel savings, so we're going to turn them down to 62. You're getting paid by the mile. The driver's losing money by the mile and by the time in the day that it takes. Tommy had talked about that. They're losing 30 minutes a day on their logs. And then, of course, the slower you're going, cents per mile, the less you're spinning the wheels and making that money. To me, I welcome the government. Turn the fucking speed limit back to 55. That's giving me a raise at, getting paid by the hour. Like instead of driving 70 on the interstates, I go 55. Fuck yeah, man, I'm making bank. So, but yeah, I just like that right there. If anyone had anything to say about Prime, I'd say do an about face, run fast and run hard. Steer clear of them clowns. But yeah, them. Another guy talks about Hirschbog. They're all right, but unless you're on a dedicated route, pulling a refrigerated trailer is just a pain in the ass. I did it for over a year, and fuck that. Outside of these guys with dry van, I'll do step deck or RGN. I'm not going to touch another company with a dry van if I was to ever stay in the driving, but I'm 99.9% sure when my time comes and we make the move and I step away from these guys, I'm done. I'll probably keep my license. That was asked if I was going to keep my license. Said, yeah, I'll cycle it through my 60s until I hit my 70s. So I got to see it. It's coming renewed in 2027. And then I'll renew it one more time after that. Maybe one more time after that. And that third time would only be as if I'm financially sure and I'm, health wise, this and that I don't need it as a security net, to pick me up if something happens financially, like what had happened back in 2013 and 14. Getting laid off twice in healthcare, and then look at everyone in healthcare that got fucking furloughed and all that because, well, you're not essential because of your certain job description. Like physical therapists were big ones, them people in that realm were getting furloughed and sent home because they were only keeping like an RN to run triage and ER and the floors in the hospital, but for the most part, a lot of that stuff. And then elective surgeries got shot down. So if you need a knee replacement, we're going to reschedule that. So the only people who were getting in there was terminally ill or someone having a heart attack, some shit like that. But yeah. So COVID kind of showed, the true colors of not going to healthcare. And they worked the shit out of us and truck drivers and essentials. They claim, but they never did give us like, hey, if you're carrying a CDL and you were out here, and you could show it with a W-2 pay stub, tax return, some shit like that. You'd think, hey, thanks for an attaboy. How about you didn't have to pay taxes that certain year? Whatever, 2021, whatever. Yeah, but so when people said, oh, you're essential and all that, I tell them, take that, shove it up your ass. I don't want to hear it. So they're just going to keep stepping on us and wiping their dirty boots on us, as far as like so-called essential as truck drivers and all that. They're still going to turn around when it's all said and done, and they're going to go back to treating us like shit. So to hell with it. So if the government wanted to do anything solid, they could have gave us a good tax break, for the years of 20, 21, 22 until they kind of cleared it, cleared COVID or however you want to call it, post-COVID. But since they didn't do us, other than, oh, thank you, and attaboy, and you get a gold star, put it on your refrigerator, you gold star, thank you. Yeah, fuck you. So, but, yeah, you really got to be not so drawn in to any of that stuff, the politics, living and breathing. Keep everything in your life at an arm's length. Stock market, FMCSA, politics, because to live and breathe certain things like that day in and day out, you're just going to get caught into that trap with tunnel vision, and you'll never be able to critically think yourself out of situations and problems. So it is best to keep everything at arm's length. Keep yourself at a 30,000 foot view to look at things every day of your life, and think for yourself. Don't let other people think. Don't let other people influence you. If they got something to say it. If news has got something to tell you, give me the information. Let me read it. Let me decipher it. Let me make my final decision. You don't make the final decision for me. I will make my own decisions, my own critical thoughts. Hillary Clinton don't want you to have your own thoughts and stuff any more than the rest of the elitists in the World Economic Forum. It's just do as they tell you to do, and that's where I'll always push back. So, all right, been here for an hour. Appreciate y'all. I'm ready to renew your mechanic's license, but I need your new business credit card info when you're finished. Oh yeah, that's coming up March 1st. I thought you already did that. So yeah, I still, since May of 1989, I have had my master mechanics license through the state of Michigan when I came out of diesel school. Um, I took it in three parts, and I got the last part done that year, and then that's when I got my mat. Then once I have all my qualifications from engine, trans, suspension, brakes, so everything, but they didn't have computers in them back then. The DDEC system was just in its infancy stages. So and Caterpillar didn't have anything. Cummins had their 444 out, but that was having injector issues and all that because it was everything was new. But Roger Penske found one thing. He said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel to turn these diesels into, like the cars, putting computers in them. Just go down to Radio Shack and get what you need, plug and play, and just redesign some stuff. And he made the Series 60 work, and that was one of the best engines. The Series 60, the N14, the red-headed N14, and your Caterpillars. I always liked the 3406B. Then the C came out, then the E, the electronic, and then the 6NZ. Those are my favorite motors. They will last. They will go 1,000,000 miles. Maintain them and take care of them. They will last you. Don't go, super hopping them up and all that where your EGTs are, through the roof all the time when you're pulling the hills, blowing a head gasket or melting a piston. But if you got them nicely tuned to do the job you need to do at hand, they'll go a long ways. But this new stuff, they'll never see the 1,000,000 miles because the freaking IT and the after treatment, plus the EGRs, recirculating all the exhaust gas back into them. You're just, it's like you as a human body might as well just go out and stick your mouth on an exhaust pipe and just suck that all day, because that's all it is just recirculating poisonous gases right back into it, and it's just clogging it up, choking it out, and it's just garbage. So, well, yeah, I'll get that for you, Laura. I'm going to cut it here, folks. Appreciate y'all being here. And you got anything we want to discuss coming up, this and that? We'll see how the week goes. I don't know if I'm going to have an early shutdown. If I had an early shutdown, I wouldn't mind doing another live stream. But last week, I thought about doing it from the hotel, but it was just, by the time I got in there, got everything ready for the morning. I mean, then I'd have like 7 hours left after I got unpacked and situated in a hotel, that if I could start a live stream, and by the end of the week, old man like me, 59 years old, you get tired. You're just like, but so, and then yeah, we got the cold and the snow came in right after I got settled in at home a day later after I was home, and it's like I didn't want to do anything on the computer. It's just miserable weather, but we're working at it. So but that's all I got for tonight. Trailer's tuned. This is a good trailer. It was just a liftgate. The rest of the trailer's fine. It's a utility trailer, and I like utility. They do a good job on their reefer trailers and, of course, the dry vans. Good, solid trailer, just the liftgate company. The company that designs the liftgates, I told the boss don't ever get that brand again on the next set we get. So anyhow, folks, I got to get with Miss Laura, give her some information. I still got to eat dinner. So until next time, stay safe, continue educating yourself. Knowledge is learned, not taught. And we will see you all in the next video.